on a kind of a thought experiment. And for most people listening, that's all it will be. But for others, it might actually stimulate something even deeper than that. But there's a new pope in town, an American guy, right? Okay. What's the significance of that? Well, maybe nothing. But did you know, well, let's put it this way. What would happen if some evidence was discovered in the not too distant future proving that Islam is a total fraud? So sort of running along the lines that we've described. Archaeological, paleographical, I don't know. But some evidence is discovered to show you that there's really, that all the things that you know about the Quran, about Mecca, and even about Muhammad, right, is utterly bogus. And this is found by Muslim scholars, or at least acknowledged by them. In the near future, this actually happens, shaking the Muslim world to its foundations. Wouldn't go so far as to say that Muhammad himself didn't exist. No, I'm talking more about the dating. That Mecca didn't exist. That the Quran didn't exist in the way that it's shown. That there were in excess of 700 different Qurans, not one. And that through the years they had to be whittled down to only 30. And it was only in the 1980s, somewhere like that, that one was decided on. And that most Muslims don't know about that. And all these other contradictions. But then even more so, some evidence, this is not far-fetched, could be released, just like when the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi libraries were discovered, and the Apocrypha were discovered by Christian, to shake the Christian world. What happens if finally somebody from within the Muslim world discovers that the whole thing of Islam is a 100% fraud? Stranger things have happened. And this is accepted by imams and accepted by the most senior Jewish Islamic scholars. It's accepted. They're confronted with it and they accept it. And Islam goes through a fucking plutonic meltdown. Do you think that the Muslim hordes will just become atheists when they're forced to throw down their religion? No. No, they won't. They will become Roman Catholics. Mark my words. As many of them do today when they get sick and tired of Islam. Right? As they do today. The first realm of conversion for a Muslim is not to become an atheist or a Protestant. It's to become a Roman Catholic. And we've just laid out a podcast here showing you that it was the Vatican that created Islam. Well, do you realize that these millions and millions and millions of Muslims, should this scenario happen, they will join the ranks of the Catholic Church? Now think for a minute. Do this thought experiment with me. All these migrants that have been pouring across the English Channel, that infest all the 4- and 5-star hotels, they get a big fat checks in their pockets, all the free cell phones, the free TVs, all the police support and the government support and the subsidies, right? That fill the dentist's office and the hospitals so that you and your children can't get fucking treatment, and all the rest of it, getting the houses while ordinary natives can't even find a roof over their head. All of this, it's brewing, as we know. Countries in the West are getting sick of this. Yeah, but wait. What will be the West's reaction when these very same Muslims drop their belief in Islam and become converted to Roman Catholicism? What would be the reaction of the West? Would you still react to them in the same way? Or would you give them amnesty and let them stay? Now follow it on for a minute. Everybody has noticed that Catholic countries like France have been jam fucking packed. Spain too, Portugal too, few Orthodox countries like Greece and whatever. But mostly it's these Catholic countries that have let these people in, these migrants. And they're mostly males, young males. That's why there's a worry. And we know that their behavior is totally reprehensible. All these things we know. But open the mind. Think ahead. If some discovery was made that showed that Islam was bogus, these people all over the world would be faced with this. That the very Quran, the book that they really don't even know a lot about what's in it, is just, they'd have to trash it. Now, of course, we know that there'd be a major crisis of faith. This would be seismic. It would be huge. But in the aftermath, after things calm down a bit, and people are losing their faith, what do you do then? You think they're going to go and become Jews? That those ethnic hatreds will just evaporate? No. I'm predicting that these people are much more likely to become converted to Roman Catholicism. And if that is the case, well, the demographic of Roman Catholics in the world is going to explode. But then at the home base position, what is going to be the reaction of white people to these immigrants now? Well, it'll be the same as our reaction to Poles or to other Slavs that came here first. Before the immigrants got here, right? The Browns, Roman Catholic immigrants were the first to come in mass in the late 20th century to fill up the factories and to work in the West. And they were accepted without a bother, even in some very, very staunchly Protestant areas of Britain. There was almost no reaction against any of them because that was the thin end of the wedge. First, you bring in them so that you tenderize the population, and then later you bring in the ones that would cause a bigger reaction. But now generations have changed, and you won't get as much pushback. And that's exactly what happened. But if something is still waiting for us in the future, something incredible, something seismic, something so far out that the human mind at this point couldn't conceive of it, then what? All those single young men that come over in the boats, that flood Germany, that flood Sweden, if they converted to Christianity, essentially, how would the West react? Would you be deporting them then? Would you still carry on with that policy? Or would you give them amnesty? You gotta think of it for yourself. What would happen? Would there be any deportations then at that point? And what would be the feelings and the thoughts and the minds of the new Pope and his coterie over there in Rome? Wouldn't that not be a coup? Would that be something that wasn't worth waiting for? Wouldn't that be something that would be absolutely tremendous in your favor in terms of world history and geopolitics? Well, I happen to think it's possible. And do you know something? It's already happening. Crown Prince Salman, the one in Saudi Arabia, that Mr. Trump went out to visit a few months back and they had a great old time. He has already openly admitted that he knows that there's no basis for their religion. Did you know that there are already top scholars and even imams that are openly telling admitting that also? It's already begun, folks.